Corporate Sustainability Education channel. We're a series of educational podcasts powered by the Southern Sustainability Partnership. In this episode, we are absolutely delighted to bring you the first in a series of interviews with Martin Baxter, who is Director of Policy and External Affairs at the Institute of Environmental Management and Assessment, IEMA. Now, IEMA is the professional body for those working in environment and sustainability. And with their motto, "Together we're transforming the world to sustainability," they really do act, if you like, as the arms around our organisations and our industry professionals as they navigate what that means for them. Now, in this episode, we'll have an update on IEMA in 2021, and then Martin will shine a spotlight on the process of professionalising sustainability and environmental management. Martin, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks, Linda. It's great to be with you, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
I really do feel that our channel has reached a new milestone, Martin, with you joining us, so we really do appreciate it. Okay, so in our line of work that we've been doing at the Southern Sustainability Partnership for about 5 years, it became very clear very quickly that IEMA's support is held in the highest esteem. So for those channel followers who are not yet members and don't really know so much about IEMA, can you just share the essence of IEMA for organisations, please?
Yeah, so we're a professional body, and as you would expect, we have individuals who are professionally qualified against the standards of competence that we set, so that those people can, and people that employ them can know that they are competent and capable in terms of making, a contribution to a sustainable future through the world of work. So for us as an organisation, we are a combination of supporting individuals to develop the skills and competence and knowledge and understanding of that work. So we give them professional development support, we give them tools that they can use in their work. We also then recognise them through our qualification process, and we go from students right through up to people who have chartered designations, so chartered environmentalists. So that's a really core part and at the heart of IEMA. But then also having such an expertise within our membership, then we utilise that to inform our advocacy work. And we do a lot of work, and part of my role is working with government to, we would kind of describe it as changing the rules of the game. So, how do we help to shape policy and legislation and regulation to better effect so that our members can be more effective in helping their organisations tread that path to a sustainable future. So it's a big organisation in that respect in terms of what we do. We cover a huge area in terms of content, and we have members in all parts of the world. So.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that as a membership organisation, you really do encompass support for everyone. I mean, we've talked to students who are involved with IEMA, right through to well-time-served professionals. So I think it's great. What does membership actually look like in 2021?
Yeah, well, membership is doing really well. So as of today, we've got well over 17,000 individuals in over 115 countries, and we've never had more members. I think our membership has grown over 8% in the last 12 months. And that's really exciting because what it does do is demonstrate that, and particularly when I look at where our members come from, what we're starting to see is the environment really being mainstreamed across the whole of the economy. So we have people who are working in business and industry, and they could be working in anything from, heavy industry, construction, infrastructure, utilities, but also they're working in retail and food and drink, they're working in financial services, they're working in central government, they're working in local government, they're working in regulators, and they're working in consultancy. We also have a growing pool of student members. So there's a real dynamism to IEMA's membership, and the people who are, forging a career in environment and sustainability, and also being able to harness their passion for it, because I think there's a real there's a public benefit from having a profession that's really trying to help to tackle the big environment and climate challenges that we all face. And to be able to do that through your own world of work, I think is really, really exciting. So things are going well for us in that context.
I think it's encouraging that, Pete, that you are broadening your membership at a time like this, in the, this crazy period that we find ourselves, because it's great that people are realizing that sustainability and environmental management is a way of helping their organizations out of what they're going through right now. And I know that training is a vital part of the IEMA offering. So, is that something that every organisation, no matter what size or type, can get involved in? Is there something for everyone?
Yeah, definitely. And what we're seeing is, organisations taking a blended approach. So for some, it's about how do you build up the competence and capability of the people who are leading on environment and sustainability in their organisations. And we have very clear pathways for people, which helps them to professionalise their work. And so we have our foundation and our certificate programs, and they are tied to our professional qualifications. But on top of that, or next to that, is something that I think is really important. And we've seen this, when we speak to our members, we know that in order for them to be effective, they actually need to work with a workforce which is empowered and also has a kind of knowledge about how to build environment and sustainability into their roles. So whether it's into procurement teams or design teams or ops teams or whatever that might be. So we do have programs of training and support that helps to mainstream what we would call all jobs greener. And certainly, we've been able to provide some input into government thinking on this, and submitted evidence to Parliamentary Select Committee inquiry into green jobs and skills, very much around this theme about all jobs greener. So yes, we need the professionals who are, the experts and can really provide that sound and solid advice, but then we need the rest of the workforce to be receptive so they can take those ideas, build them into their own work activities and do them in a more clean, green and sustainable way. So we've got programs that help on all of those.
You also provide what you call corporate programs. Can you tell us how these work?
Yeah, so we have a range of public sector and private sector organisations who are partners with IEMA, and right at the heart of that is how they build that skills and competence and internal capability to go on this journey. And what's been really exciting for us over the last 12 months is just how many organisations and the type of organisations who've become part of IEMA and are looking to upskill their workforce. So we have organisations such as, some of them are the environmental consultancies such as ERM and RSK. Others are like Lego, Co-op, M&S. We've had Southampton Football Club join, which is down in your neck of the woods, and that's fantastic to see. But also then central government departments and some local authorities. So Eastleigh Borough Council, another one in your patch, which is great. But also, DEFRA, BAYS, the Ministry of Justice, HMRC. So that's been really exciting as well, just to see how they're taking this whole approach to embedding environmental skills and capabilities so that they can make their contribution to a more sustainable future.
And Martin, it's clear that we're staring a very different business landscape in the face right now. And as our organisations reflect on what has happened in the last sort of 12 months and where they go from here, do you feel at IEMA that it's time we cut them some slack from their environmental strategies?
No, definitely not.
I'm so glad you say that. We're not going to cut them any slack either.
No, I think, and actually what we're seeing is that, it's certainly in companies, but even at national, and I think this is really important. From a national perspective, we're seeing central government, Treasury really now recognizing that the environment is an integral part of a successful economy, and that tackling climate change and the impacts that we have on the environment is actually a basis for building a better, more sustainable economy. That there is the opportunity to generate jobs, there's the opportunity to generate new products and services, which not only help to solve the problems that we have here in the UK, but also are a platform for international exports, because everywhere else in the world is facing the challenges that we are facing. And I think being, today we are at a point as, the UK is we're running up into the COP26, UK hosting International Climate Change Conference. We have an ambitious sixth carbon budget now with a 78% emissions reduction compared to 1990. So the UK is ploughing, really driving forward. Companies are aligning their activities with that and developing, and now we've got, innovation and entrepreneurship and design all coming together to find new solutions. And those solutions, that work here will also be, adopted and implemented in other places as well. So I think this is a really exciting time for companies not to hold back, but actually get on this journey. And as bigger organizations have been doing this, so we're also seeing small businesses and SMEs also looking, because they can often be more agile and flexible and can see those opportunities as well. So I think it's a great time to be, thinking about this as a business and, how you can, be part of creating a sustainable future.
Yes, we really feel that all of the conversations and all of the guidance and help that we've been trying to provide for businesses going over the last several years, and all the benefits that they get from being more sustainable, I feel that this is now the time, the benefits of it are really what is going to help our businesses to claw back from what they've been going through over the last 12 months for sure. So I'm glad that's your answer, and that's what I expected. As you alluded, obviously you have seen a surge in new memberships as businesses are looking for guidance during the pandemic. Well, we must have a real mixed bag of businesses, really. Some that we talk to that are absolutely thriving through this period, and some that are facing a really tough road ahead. Can you give us an idea of some of the conversations that you've been having over this period?
Yeah, I think that there's a real resonance with net zero, and that's something that I think has, but I mean, it's really welcome. If I wind back a couple of years, and when the UK's legally binding target was an 80% emissions reduction target by 2050, I think too many organisations felt that they could be part of the 20%, not the 80%. And that whole public discourse around the urgency of tackling climate change and a new legally binding target for the long term has really concentrated minds. And I think companies are now looking at to understand, to work out how they can understand what this means for them, what needs to be their direction of travel, what are the threats, and for some, let's be clear, this will be really tough, but for others this is a huge opportunity. And so working out, how do you put your organization on a transition to a net zero future, and then start to think about what needs to change and how do you build this into the fabric of your internal decision making, is, well, I think is really exciting, and that's where we're seeing companies coming to. They have all sorts of questions about some of the technical details, about what they should do. Should they be focusing on absolute emissions reduction? Can they just do offsets? How do they promote this through their products? So there are also, those questions, and that's where some of the, professional advice is really important, to make sure that you don't get caught out and damage your reputation by intending to do the right thing, but actually maybe not being quite as credible. I think we're also seeing, other issues really coming to the fore. So we're seeing, the whole question about the circular economy and what we do about our waste and resources. and materials management as a nation. We've seen lots of examples now where waste from the UK has been found in far-flung places around the world, and those countries have rightly said, we do not want this. We don't want your rubbish, and we don't want your low-quality rubbish. And so, we need to find solutions here in the UK. And again, that it's all about doing things differently. It's all about driving change. So I think those are the types of conversations that we've been having with businesses. And very much, it seems to me, is that there's a real appetite to be part of the solution rather than either being part of the problem or not being able to, or not being willing to face up to the problem. And it won't be easy, and there will be hard choices to make, particularly in different parts of the country. So, I think one of the things that comes from this is when you start to look at, where are the hardest hit areas potentially from, tackling all of this and the impacts on business, and therefore how do we support communities and the reskilling of people in workforces so that those industries that won't be at the forefront of a net zero future, that the people in them can, we can utilize their skills and capability to best effect in the new world that we're creating. So yeah, I think businesses are, really into this, thinking about it, and trying to understand, where they fit. So.
Yes, I think, especially for our SMEs, we try very hard to get the message out to them. And I think listening to you, they can build a picture of why they need to really grasp the nettle and begin to work on their own sustainability. And I think it's good to sort of to know that IEMA is there. And I would urge anyone, start by becoming a member, because that's your guidance right there. They've worked with companies of all different size and type, and you're not on your own. And I think that's probably the biggest message, is that you're not on your own. Martin, I know you were keen to talk to our channel followers about professionalising sustainability and environmental management. And so I'd like to give you the floor now, if I may, to be able to do that.
Well, thanks. And I think it's really interesting to see how this fairly new, I need to say young, but then you look at me and you think maybe not young, but this new profession is emerging into the world and playing its role. And I think what we're seeing is, that need for expertise and trusted advice and assurance that you can be doing the right thing. And I think that's where, professional skills and competence and professional designations and recognition are really important, partly because you've had independent evaluation that you meet a certain standard, and the IEMA Sustainability Skills Map, which provides the foundation of how we develop our professional qualifications, has been really useful for people in that. And that peer review process of other professionals helping to shine a lot, or kind of evaluate your competence, and then those people who are successful are often invited to be part of that peer review process. So there's that support mechanism there, which is really important. Secondly, it's about being up to date. This is an incredibly fast-moving agenda, both from a policy and legislation perspective, from a technology perspective, from an economic perspective, from a social acceptability perspective. So having an assurance, if you like, that professionals who have continuing professional development requirements and are being up to date is really important. It's a long time since I did my my undergraduate and postgraduate degrees, and a lot of the things that we're talking about today weren't really kind of invented as concepts, and certainly were not part of mainstream business activity. So I think that's really important. And then also having a professional code of practice that is a basis for being able to hold people to account for the advice, so that members of the public or people who are utilizing professionals in that context, can, if there are challenges or problems, then they can be addressed. So I think that whole professionalization, particularly in this world at the moment where there seems to be a bit of a lack of trust, I think we're going a bit full circle, and I think more and more people are recognizing that in a world where there's all of this change, then actually having credible, authentic, professional advice really does help, particularly because we're dealing with big decisions about how does my company chart a new strategy forward that's going to be addressing some of these big challenges, or how does a community decide whether a new development fits in with where their future is going, and what are the environmental implications of that, and everything in between. So I think that professionalization of people working in the environment and sustainability is really important.
Thank you very much for that, Martin. And I think, what we're talking about here really is future-proofing your business for tomorrow. And that, that's vital. That's even more important now than it's ever been, really. Martin, thank you very much for your valuable insights. And also thank you very much for an update on IEMA in 2021. And also in the importance place that sustainability and environmental management is playing in these trying times. We have added a link to the IEMA website to the right of this video interview to enable you to have a look further at the support that they offer, and also their training programs and services that they have on offer. You can actually meet Martin in person by joining us at the big Sustainability Expo in Southampton on the 28th of October, where Martin will once again be our keynote. And I know we have people come back every year just to see you, Martin. So thank you again for doing that. Do look out for the next in our IEMA series that will also be listed alongside the video. And in the meantime, we thank you very much for watching and for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.